France is holding its second round of parliamentary elections today. This comes after President Emmanuel Macron called snap elections following a significant win by Marine Le Pen's far-right party in the European elections on June 9. SABC News correspondent Cullen Ross joins us now live from Paris with this latest on the second round of France elections. Ross, thank you so much for your time and good afternoon to you. So as we, discuss what's at stake in these elections, we are hearing, of course, that President Macron appears poised for some major losses, according to some polls, which could see the rise of the far right. Let's talk then about the dynamics at play with this particular election.
Well, the dynamics in terms of the turnout are worth starting with. We know it's 26.6 as of 12 p.m. today, so the highest that we've seen since 1981. Also, a high turnout in the first round of the election on the 30th of June. So it does see that there is the importance, the significance of this election is feeding through to the electorate as they cast their votes. Also, record numbers of people casting their ballots by proxy, somebody else voting on their behalf, because we are 2 days into the summer holidays. The long school vacation period has already begun, but people determined to make sure their vote counts by registering to vote by proxy. You can see some of the people coming out of the polling station behind me here in central Paris. We will get another idea of the turnout at 5 p.m. local time before the polls close at 8 p.m. and we will start to get the exit polls, the projections of what could be a very consequential result for Emmanuel Macron.
I mean, just given those dynamics and that this election has been projected to enter a new political era, just talk to us about the key role players here and what this essentially means for Macron.
Well, we could have one of many different scenarios. There could be an absolute majority for the far right. They would be in government. Emmanuel Macron would be installing and appointing Jordan Bardella, the party leader, as the prime minister. There could be a relative majority for the far right, where they're the biggest party in parliament, but do not have more than 289 seats, and therefore they might try to form a coalition. Perhaps there could be another coalition on the left of the political spectrum, with the left-wing coalition, the umbrella, four parties working together under one umbrella. Emmanuel Macron's party as well could be working with the centrist allies. There could be a technocratic government. There could be a hung parliament. The government could form a national unity coalition as well to get through the period of the Olympics. There are many different dynamics that could come out of the election once the result is over.
I mean, also, one of the things that has been concerning just running into this, second leg of the election is the violence that has been associated with, even during the campaigning. Just talk to us about just the level of, police visibility and how concerned the safety is around this particular day.
There are 30,000 police officers on duty across the country today. 5,000 of them are here in the French capital, ready for any potential unrest that takes place this evening. They have had to divert their focus away from their preparations for security in terms of the Olympic Games to focus on securing the areas around different polling stations in Paris and across the country. So there have been this response by the police after the more than 50 incidents of aggression towards candidates, aggression towards activists and campaigners that we did see, particularly over the last 6 days between the first round and the second round.
Of course, also we've been hearing criticism around Macron and how aloof his messaging has been relative to the challenges that the people on the ground are facing. What would a far right, win mean? And essentially, what is the sentiment on the ground?
A sentiment on the ground, speaking to some of the voters here coming in and out of this polling station. We have heard concerns, worries over the future, the very near future, the possible ungovernability of France if there is no majority, if there is uncharted territory that France has to venture into. Countries like Germany across the border are used to having coalitions. We're not used to having coalitions here in France, so that would be new territory for politicians of all different political parties across the spectrum to try to navigate the best way way forward. There would be pressure from the far right if they are in a very powerful position, even if they don't have a majority, if they are the largest party, for them to form the basis of the new government, if they can find coalition partners, because there's also the risk of a vote of no confidence if the government does come in without a majority. Emmanuel Macron's government has faced so many votes of no confidence. It's won them all, squeezed through, but there is always a risk for a new minority government that could be a possibility. So there's lots of factors at play and lots of factors for the French voters to consider as they cast their ballots.
As we wrap up our conversation, Ross, just give us the logistics. So everybody starts, of course, the voting early on this morning. Just the logistics in terms of when does voting close? I know that it's different from various areas within the country. Just give us those, logistics in terms of when then does counting begin and when are we likely to see those results coming in?
Well, voting in France's overseas territories that are behind us in time zone, so those in the Americas and the Caribbean, South America, began on Saturday, so their votes will be able to be counted in time for the Sunday results. Voting in France's overseas territories that are ahead of us, so in the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean, also taking place today, Sunday. Now, the votes will be closing at usually 8 p.m. Some towns close at 6 p.m. local time. Then there will be the official exit poll, the projections, and we will get the results, and then the days and in the weeks to come there will be the back and forth, the arguments, the conversations, the dialogue, the discussions between all the different politicians led by Emmanuel Macron and potentially those party leaders of parties who've had particular success at the ballot boxes to try to work out how to form the next government.
Ross, thank you so much for that. Of course, Ross Cullen coming to us live there from Paris, where France is holding its second round of parliamentary elections today.